So I want to thank everyone for coming in particular, Carol, for all the logistics of taking care of everything and making this happen. So we really appreciate that very, very much. Carol, of course, is a 4-time Pulitzer Prize winning photographer and has been covering the war since the beginning. So Carol, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know we're on a crunch with our translator, but I just saw our other translator, Anya, coming in, so we'll be able to have her for the duration. Carol, it's all yours. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, I'm just going to start off reading the story, Misha and Ira's love story, actually. He's an amputee, a soldier from Ukraine that I did a story on my last trip, and I'm actually here with him now as he's getting his prosthetics in Florida. But just as an introduction, I'm going to show the pictures and read the story, and then you all can talk to the head of the nonprofit that's helping him, and then I'll be happy to answer questions later. And should I share the screen?
Yes.
There you go. Right, hopefully this will work. Wait. All right. It's called For Better or Worse, a Ukrainian Love Story. It was published by NPR. Sergeant Misha Baravarich, I always massacre last names, 28 years old, is an 80th Airborne Assault Brigade commander, and his fiancee, Ira, 19, navigate an altered destiny after he lost. Oops. Is this not going?
Yeah, now we have your grid.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. See, this is always a problem on Zoom. All right, let's try this again. They navigate an altered destiny after he lost both legs while fighting in Luhansk during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Their unflinching romance speaks not of life interrupted, but rather adapted and embraced. They've been living since June in a tiny room. Okay, I'm just going to click through them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Zoom, but it does this all the time. They've been living since June in a tiny room in Truskovets City Hospital near Lviv, which provides free medical care and rehab amid a growing legion of Ukraine's war-wounded survivors. Over 150 amputees have been treated so far at this facility alone. They lean on each other and face this new normal with dry wit, tenacity, and grace. In an age-old adage, love indeed transcends adversity. At a tender age, Ira was forced to mature quickly, offering unconditional love and support to her man. They traverse obstacles in this new terrain while still savoring joy with playful abandon. She plays footsie with his prosthetic leg, wipes his brow, endures his relentless passion for video games, and kisses his lips. She stands by her man even when he can't. In a country with a shattered economy, it's a challenge for Ukrainian hospitals, also under attack and understaffed, to provide adequate care for the increasing demand. There's no concise count of amputees, but the surge is growing daily. And due to a lack of skilled prosthetists, Misha must travel 90 minutes each way to a clinic in Lviv for any minor adjustment. Many amputees risk falling into depression, and issues of emotional trauma are also addressed at Truskovets. But Misha displays not an ounce of self-pity or self-consciousness. His ammunition is humor, at times the self-deprecating dark kind popular with military. When asked his weight and height, he quips, with or without legs. He was once a bodybuilder and still proudly shows off his physique during daily workouts. We should be happy and live with ourselves and not care about anyone else's opinion, he says. Their positive outlook is inspiring to medical staff and fellow amputees on this journey. Folks are quickly enchanted by their enduring love story, and they constantly show cell phone photos of their previous normal. I was in love with his legs, especially his tattoos, says Ira wistfully. The tattoos above his knees said, "Face your fear, accept your war." At the beginning of 2022, Misha decided that he wanted to leave the army and start building a family. He was to be discharged on February 25th. Then the 24th happened. When the Russian invasion began, he joined his unit, leaving Ira behind at the apartment they had just rented, living there for only 5 days before destiny intervened. On May 29th, Misha was on a combat mission on patrol when a lethal blast of an anti-personnel mine savagely ripped apart both his legs. He immediately realized he would lose them. The grueling evacuation took over 4 hours, and one of his comrades did not survive. He was carried by 6 people to 2.5 kilometers to the hospital, during which he was resuscitated 3 times. Russians shot at the road the entire trek. The tourniquets that saved him from bleeding out also starved his legs, which were amputated at the hospital. On June 5th, he returned to Ira, where he faces a new profound battle to walk again. He lost track of the number of surgeries he's had, 18, maybe 19. As the cartilage keeps growing, so will that amount. But Misha treats the amputation as an ordinary disease that can be cured and is temporary. In a poignant moment at the orthopedic hospital, members of his unit, including one also injured that fateful day, awarded him a medal for courage. Ira accepts a daily routine that is so very different than they first imagined. He wanted to be a gym coach, she a manicurist. I'm used to it. It is what it is, she says. With support, you can go through any hell. She never for a moment doubted her commitment. Her love is unconditional, but explains it's also hard for her. When you're a caregiver, you also need words of cheering. They describe how most couples would get on each other's nerves while living in such a small space for over 6 months, 24/7. You should see us fight like cats and dogs, laughs Misha. Then Ira clarifies, I love everything about him, but sometimes I want to choke him. When she's visibly angry and distant some days, he has learned to grovel as a good spouse does, and she forgives. They met in a chat roulette a year and a half ago, and for the first 6 months, they communicated online and by phone, becoming good friends before dating. Their daily life before the war, they didn't drink or go to nightclubs, preferring quiet moments. Ira is nostalgic for her strolls in Rivne. Now their walks consist of her pushing a wheelchair and occasionally resting on his lap. They never danced together, but Misha chuckles, saying they never really got out of bed either. They both believe marriage itself is more important than a big wedding, but someday we'll get that piece of paper. For all intents and purposes, they feel married, even wearing the rings after a mutual decision to spend their lives together rather than a proposal. It's a good thing, jokes Misha. I can't get down on one knee now. At their first meeting in person, his jaw was wired shut after being involved in a fight in Odessa. If she can accept me with all my scars, then she will accept me in every way. A prophecy that proved accurate. Their first kiss? Marvelous, he says, even though he had 2 seams holding his mouth together. Shrapnel pierced the contents of his pockets, and Ira shows his ID card with an eerie hole where his eyes should be. But Misha misses the excitement, the life and death adrenaline of war. He felt a purpose fighting for his country. He embodies a common refrain with most soldiers. Given the choice, he would return to fight. Even if he had at least one leg or a knee, he insists he would definitely go back. Ira, on the other hand, exclaims, no, 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 no. I already told him I would break his arms, since he has no more legs to break, to not let him go. When he first left for war, Ira's mama was urging her to evacuate from Ukraine. How could I? My man is here fighting, she insisted. She never thinks about religion, but when he was at war, she prayed every night as she embraced his t-shirt that held his smell. Knowing he loves red cats, she found a tiny orange kitten to sleep with for comfort. They kept in touch by video chat. Then a defining moment was the call she received after his injury. I have 2 news for you. Good one is I'm alive. Second, they cut my legs, said Misha. She thought he was joking, and then she fell into shock and wept. Misha speaks of the phantom pain he experienced the first 2 months. Your brain doesn't understand what happened, says the double amputee. You're always moving legs out of the way, then you realize you no longer have legs. He doesn't believe he has PTSD, but can't sleep and now takes medication. Insomnia was not a problem before the horrors of war became an unwelcome resident in his brain. Conversation turns serious when Putin's name comes up. Misha the warrior talks with benevolence. His demure bride says she wants to murder the Russian leader. Misha declares calmly, I'm such a person I do not wish harm on others. In general, evil bypasses me. If Putin dies, nothing changes. He just gives orders and millions of douchebags obey him. But Ira forcefully and adamantly states, if he was sitting on the porch like you, I would kill him, strangle him. I don't know how exactly, but I would definitely find a way to kill him. In Misha's opinion, what could end the war? Definitely no negotiations, no steps back, because people died and made so many sacrifices. Even if there is a pause now, Russians will attack again, only victory to the end. He believes Russian citizens are lost sheep. They sit home drinking vodka and listening to propaganda on TV and think Russia is best and all others are evil. They live in a barrel of shit, but believe it's a better barrel. His thoughts on the alleged war crimes and atrocities committed by Russian soldiers. Everyone has a conscience and knows exactly what they are doing. They will receive their due punishment, he says. Misha and Ira are not merely existing, they are living their lives. Volleyball games, weekend mountain trips, dinners made more romantic by candlelight necessary during blackouts from recent shelling. A volunteer at one restaurant began to dance with a local child, saying, when the electricity goes out, Ukrainians sing. They attend frequent therapeutic swimming activities, and freed from the confines of a wheelchair, they move fluidly as one body. They're grateful for every moment they spend together. He made it back from the front line to her arms, with no legs, but alive. Is she proud of him? Yes. What do they like to do? Sex. Future plans? Build a house, make children, maybe work with others that lost limbs. On November 17th, family and friends piled into the tiny room to celebrate Misha's 28th birthday. His mother bought a cake decorated in patriotic colors of the Ukrainian flag, and school children sent drawings they made as gifts. I have everything I want, just need legs, said Misha. Maybe a car and a house would be okay too. He has no fear of death and believes destiny decides. He feels life still has plans for him since he could have died 100 times already. He still has some mission. Not so funny was the chilling premonition he had last year when the war started, that soldiers in his battalion died in shelling and he lost his legs. Yet he has no regrets and would do it again. The war has changed them, in some ways for the better. Ira believes it transformed her perspective. I always thought I'm egotistical, but now not at all, she says. I changed my life goals. When she packed an emergency bag and realized all her life was in that bag, it shifted her consciousness from material things to the knowledge that the value of human lives is all that matters. With assistance from a fundraiser created by Irina, who is here tonight and will have a few words to say when we're done now. She runs a nonprofit called Revive Soldiers Ukraine. And Misha and Ira have traveled to the US where he's receiving state-of-the-art prosthetics. For now, they kiss and cuddle and hold on to hope in sickness and in health. God has plans for me, states Misha confidently. I need bionic legs to be able to lift my child off the ground in the future.
Wow.
And that's us in Ukraine. And I'll stop sharing now, and I'm going to put Irina on so you can ask her questions, because she and Misha and Ira are like the important people here. Okay.
So thank you, Carol, for that. Ira, thank you so much for doing this. I cannot tell you how much we all appreciate it. Very, very much. It's very nice of you.
I'm the biggest fan.
There you go. There you go. So,
Her work.
tell us a little bit about Misha, and just give us, tell us what kind of guy is he?
Well, maybe he will tell more about himself, but he's a very strong man. He was fighting for Ukraine since 2015 in the east of Ukraine.
Right.
So he'd been in the army forces for like a little while, and obviously he was in the war all this time. So, and he about to finish his contract on the 25th of February, one day prior the war started throughout Ukraine. He wanted to go to a normal life, have a family, and the war changed obviously everything. So he stayed in the army. That was no brainer. He didn't go in. So so he was continue fighting, and with his comrade, he lost a lot of people from his unit. It's a 80th Brigade. They locate in the west of Ukraine, as well as there's still a lot of guys fighting right now from his brigade. So when we're asking him like if he's regretting him staying in the army, he said, no, I'm not in the worst place. I'm not in the trenches right now, and I'm not inside of the soil. So he's kind of in that middle right now, and he's happy in his place right now. We try to get for his prosthetics. He knows what he wants. It's just hard. It's very, very long process to get adjustment to new life with no legs.
Yep.
Obviously things takes more time to do than before it wasn't. And he's it's a long process. We've been feeding for prosthetics for 3 weeks right now. Some moments are very frustrating, because you would expect, oh, it's just prosthetics and there you go, I put him up and I'm just gonna go, and it's not as easy. He fell down, he gets up, again falls down, gets up, things not fitting properly, and then sliders that need to be changed. So I think four times we changed sliders now. Because of the amputation. It's a complicated amputation itself. It's not just high amputation, but it's also missing muscles in one leg, and there's more muscles on another leg. And as I said, it's very, very short. So I'll leave our prosthetic specialist more.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about his family. Does he have brothers and sisters, his parents?
I think he needs to talk about himself. I can tell you about,
so have him come.
about his family.
Yes, I mean, if he
Maybe,
wants.
maybe,
I can tell you about revived soldiers or myself if you like to know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, tell us about the facility there and how you came to being in Florida. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, so we were in Florida for 6 years now. I moved with my family here.
Where in Florida?
Orlando,
Oh.
Florida. So we actually in Orlando, Florida, all of us, and we are here for a reason. There's one of the best facilities for lower for the legs amputation here in Orlando. Congressman Brian Must, he's a war veteran. He got injured in Iraq in 2010, also with the similar amputation to Misha, also getting fitting for prosthetics here, and he uses this facility all the time, as well as other US military and Israeli military coming here to get prosthetic legs. So
and is this financed by a Ukrainian organization or an American organization? How did you find them to bring you there?
So I'm the president of Revived Soldiers Ukraine. That's we need to start with. And
yes, and tell us your website so Jay can put that in our chat room. Yeah,
so we called Revived Soldiers Ukraine, www.rsukraine.org. We opened up in 2015, especially to help Ukrainian wounded servicemen to come to United States with complicated injuries. We would take wounded soldiers to the best US hospitals, to the best US doctors, and as well as getting prosthetics and rehabilitation for paralyzed soldiers. With the years went by, we decided to open up a very own rehabilitation center in Ukraine, Next Step Ukraine, for paralyzed soldiers. So we no longer bring paralyzed guys. We're not dragging them on the wheelchairs all the way from Ukraine to us. But we still help wounded soldiers with their amputations. With the war throughout the country, we got support from American people a lot, and that's how we can afford to bring these complicated cases to US. And also we start to bring soldiers with the high arm amputations to Prosthetic Innovation in Philadelphia. So everything we raised on our own. There's no grants or anything. So me, myself, and volunteers like myself go around the country. We were doing different events, and we're talking to people. We're showing outcome of the war, which is wounded soldiers, and this way we can raise funds. For example, for Mikhaila, we're paying $50,000. It costs both legs for us. It's a mild electric legs. It's controlled by the phone, like with the phone, so you can kind of control how you walk. Either you walk downstairs, down the hill, or downstairs, or up the hill, and it's very cool because for me to learn, especially because we never had a chance to buy such legs before.
Right.
8 years. So this is really the first soldiers we work with such legs. Currently here in Orlando, we have 6 wounded soldiers with the legs amputation. Mikhail is one of the complicated cases. There's Ruslan with a very high amputation from a pelvic bone, and with Andrei Nasada also similar from the same brigade, from 80th Brigade as Mikhail, also same amputation, but he's also blind on one eye. So it's very, very hard cases to work with, and we are taking challenge. It's not easy, as I said, because soldiers expecting that they will be that will just get prosthetic and will walk, and it's not easy. It's very, very, very long process. For some people, it'll take up to a year to get adjusted to the injury.
So yeah, so there's constant nuances with the prosthetics to make them fit right, and irritations and all these things.
Yes,
right?
yes, everything. It's sockets and adjustment of the socket. Because think about it, this is your new legs, and and you're not born with it. You have to adjust to it, and prosthetic center and prosthetists work with our soldiers for free. They're not charging us anything because of our nonprofit and our relationship. We actually, on their prosthetics, we return 7 wounded soldiers to the war zone. So guys fighting on the prosthetics we got in Orlando, and 2 of them were killed by Russians during this last year.
So you have the physical part. Is there a mental rehabilitation that's part of this program?
Of course, they went to Disneyland. Yeah, they went to Disneyland. They went to Sarasota, and they went on the Gulf of Mexico. So they kind of they only here for 3 weeks, and Ukrainians that lives here try to get them around, take them to restaurants and other places, parks and so on. So it is in some way. You don't really need a psychologist to talk to you. Well, you have all this destruction going on around you, while you also spending every day in prosthetic center, every day, like from 9 till 5 p.m. Getting fitted with their new legs.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you also had the same sense of humor that Misha has. So that now I understand.
Yes. We have to be positive, because even though it's a tragedy that the Ukrainian people are undergoing, we still have to kind of joke with our soldiers. It's not, we can't be depressed or cry every day. We have to do stuff, and we do stuff.
And I have to say that makes it easier for us to speak with you. So
absolutely, yes.
So we appreciate that very, very much. So what is the sort of next step for your organization moving forward? Is it a constant fundraising? I mean, what's your plan?
Well, we will try to help as many soldiers as we can right now. So we have line of people, and as I said, we take the most complicated cases into the hospitals, and for prosthetics, arms prosthetics, we have about 500 soldiers right now waiting for arm prosthetics.
Wow!
Imagine, we just managed to bring 3. Each soldier for the arm costs us it's a bionic arm, so it costs us about $35,000, and it's a case-by-case basis. We have to raise, you have to create a fundraiser. It's on Facebook being very helpful to us, and US corporation will be helpful. But it just line up of people. We're getting requests practically every day to assist or help on. I'm not even be able to respond to all the requests, even just send a message back, because these guys right here already, and we have to focus on getting them the best possible prosthetics we can afford as the volunteers. So it just I don't know. So we're building a second rehabilitation facility in Ukraine, and we're gonna extend it not only to paralyzed soldiers, but to soldiers with amputees, because as I said, we're working for so long with, for example, we'll say Misha, right? He still will need rehabilitation with his prosthetics together, so he has to come back somewhere to Ukraine and also work, continue on training his body to use prosthetics.
So, and how long does the process take for him? Do we know? Do we say he'll be here for a year as a minimum?
Probably not here.
Okay.
With the Airbnb, it's yeah. Well, he will, as soon as we will be done, I want him to still like practice for a week or two and be comfortable to take these prosthetics back home. And then home in Ukraine, we would like to get him rehabilitation.
Right.
I don't know, a month, 2 months, several months.
And is there a network back home that you can, fit into there as well?
Well, network of what he gonna do when he gonna come back?
Yeah, the rehab and all of that, right?
Oh, yes, that's what I'm saying. We have a rehabilitation center for paralyzed soldiers, and we right now start to accept soldiers with amputees and civilians. Our rehabilitation center in Irpin, right outside of Kiev. We were under Russian occupation, so we lost the rehab for about 2.5 months until we could come back. All our rehabilitation staff had to leave, and wounded soldiers that we had at the moment had to escape. So we came back and we're working on full scale. A couple of my guys who were rehabilitation staff left to war to be paramedics. So we got a couple new people in the team. And now we're working on opening second rehab, which will be twice as big. And we're gonna open up in 3 months in Lviv, which is west of Ukraine, where Misha is. We'll continue on working on helping Mikhaila. Yeah.
So, and with apologies if it's a dopey question, what is the determining factor to get prosthetics or getting into a wheelchair?
What do you mean?
Like what's the determining factor that you can get prosthetics or you have to be in a wheelchair?
Oh, you mean determining factor? Everybody can get prosthetics, and Ukrainian government does provide prosthetics for practically everybody, like at least legs.
Right.
Through this all years of war, Ukrainian prosthetic companies open up several one around the country, and they have a contract with government, and government is covering the prosthetic legs. They have problems with the arms. They're not producing them at all. And Atabak is not gifting anything, as we know. They're making a lot of money on this war. Ukrainian government just not affording the arms yet. So nobody's producing it in Ukraine. If they do, they can work with legs. There's no work on arms yet. So everybody can receive legs. It's very simple. It's not what we do here. It's not myoelectric. It's just mechanical. I don't know if you like. So it's simple. It's simple knee, and it's doable for people who doesn't have anything. And obviously for Misha's amputation, he requires something more advanced, which is we're gifting him mild electric knee, as I said, that you can control from a phone, and it's a smart knee, so it's reacts to your body, how you walk, it's reacting, and so it's just in a matter of time when people will get from a wheelchair, when they can receive prosthetic leg from a prosthetic company in Ukraine. And, as I said, the most complicated cases we try to, as our group, try to bring to United States and somehow help out, in, the best way we can.
So from a practical matter, with so many young men and women being injured, needing, wheelchairs and prosthetics, the rebuilding of the country has to sort of now take this into consideration to making wider doorways, wider elevators, all these different things. Is there an advocacy for that, to make sure when we rebuild, we can make it more comfortable for the soldiers?
Well, in Ukraine, we had this problem throughout all these years, because I've been working with paralyzed guys since 2014. So it's really, really tough. If you're in a wheelchair and you live on a second floor of apartment building that doesn't have an elevator, you're kind of stuck.
Right.
It's impossible to go in and out. Right now, with the new infrastructure that Ukraine builds, Obviously, they try to implement ramps and other like kind of like wider doors. I work with it every day because we accept soldiers from all over the Ukraine who are paralyzed at our rehabilitation center, and we do have housing, but also we're accepting civilians that has to go and find housing, and it's just impossible for those guys to just civilians to go and find NRP nearby rehab housing that will be accessible. We talked about showers, we talked about doors,
Yeah.
the wideness of the doors that will turn and go. Like Misha is like walking on his arms sometimes through the doors. Here, when we're in places, it's obviously not everything wheelchair accessible, so he just uses his arms to get off the wheelchair and go through the doors.
Yeah,
It's kind of
we had
sad.
we had a photographer earlier in the week who was following a young man also who had lost his legs, and
In
it was
Ukraine?
in Ukraine, and he could not get out of the car to go into his parents' house because of all of those reasons. The wheelchair just wouldn't fit. They couldn't carry him up all these flights of stairs, all these different things. So it's going to be intriguing, how moving forward with the rebuild, that they have to take all of this into consideration, that maybe all the first floors in all the new buildings will be modified to help them.
Well, a lot of buildings are that actually Russians bombing anyways are built in USSR, and they were not all of them were not wheelchair accessible, or anyhow accessible unless you have your own legs to walk in and out. And one way was to describe that phenomena.
Yeah.
It's because back in the USSR, people didn't want to see handicapped people around.
Yeah.
So usually if people with handicap, they would stuck at their homes and wouldn't just be around.
Everyone, certainly after the war, everyone's going to have a new vision to all of this.
Well,
right?
I thought so too, like when the war started in 2014, I thought so too. And after a couple of years, people adapted to the war going on all the time. And in some way start to disrespect soldiers when they're coming back by saying, we didn't send you there. And I was hoping, it's this tragedy happened and it will change people's mind, because all of people had to evacuate from practically the entire Ukraine. I don't know if you have been on the Ukrainian-Polish border first month of the war. If anybody was, I was, and I saw just blind people just walking with whatever they can take, like a backpack or whatever, just to escape from the country and from the bombing. So I hope everything will change, but in some way it's kind of deja vu what happened already in 2014. That shocked. It's gonna go away. I hope people are not gonna come back to being ignorant.
But this is certainly different than 2014.
It is definitely, yes, it is definitely different, but it's the same kind of questions. I don't know what, because people reaching out to me with these injuries, right? And it feels like they don't know anything about injuries, right? They don't know anything about being paralyzed. And to me, it's like, where were you in 2014, 15, and 16? What's wrong with you? You just changed now. Why didn't change? Why didn't ask those questions throughout those years?
Yeah.
So it's
So you speak about change and the way people think, which is interesting. In the space that you're living in with these soldiers, all these injured soldiers, is there a talk about where we move forward as a country? The government, and making it less corrupt than it was before. All of that as you speak about change.
Well, I was hoping people will fight, and our soldiers. Obviously, we have so many. It's not only soldiers; it's people too, civilians. getting injured and sitting in a bomb shelters. I don't know. And the most important part is that people who escaped Ukraine were people who had money, who were doing all that corruption. They all escaped, and the people who didn't have money, they stayed because for example, in my city, I'm from European, and people who all people who can escape, they did, and people who couldn't walk, elderly, or who had no money or didn't know where to go, they just stayed, and they kind of get injured. So those people really struggle the most, and that's the population that never took any bribes ever.
Right.
So
So do you have discussions among yourselves about who will and how will we lead going into the future for the next 10 years? Making it more democratic, making it less corrupt. Do you have those types of conversations?
With the soldiers, we're mostly talking about their prosthetics and how they're gonna back to their lives. And we obviously talk about their future for the individuals we have here. What they're gonna do after they're gonna come back or get back on their prosthetics. Are they gonna return to war zone, or are they gonna return to army at all? About corruption, I don't know. We talk about what is the parts, how much it costs, or what is my next fundraiser? Who can I bring next?
Right.
So not really it's at this moment we need to win a war. That's the most important. And then I'm sure within this, I was hoping for this. But this time, it didn't happen in 2014 or 15. People were still being, corrupt, and it didn't change minds at all. But I really hope this time around we will change, because when all this happened, 16, 17, 18, I was trying to reach out to people to help me to put up that prosthetic, that center for paralyzed soldiers together. Got sponsors because it's nonprofit. It has to be have finances to run it.
Right.
Just find it in Ukraine.
Finances.
Sponsors, no sponsors.
Right.
People didn't want to sponsor it. And right now, we'll see. Right now, it feels like people reaching out more and hey, we have this and this we can do. We have this small business, we can contribute and help wounded soldiers and stuff. So I really hope that will be a new story for Ukraine.
Yeah. So is there a way for someone like you to galvanize the other people doing the wonderful work that you're doing, to come together to become, powerful in reaching out to, within Ukraine, but within Europe in general and the States, to make it a real force? So, sort of like we have American Red Cross. Right.
Yes. Well, so we were very small nonprofit when the war started. We could manage to bring about 12 to 15 soldiers a year. We remember coronavirus and all that obstacles were also a major factor. Plus, we were putting up together a rehabilitation center in Ukraine and helping about 50 wounded soldiers in Ukraine with the long-term rehab. So I hope, with all these efforts, more people know about, for example, us, and more people reaching out, both with helping to raise money and ask for help. So I was hoping to, have more interaction with the Americans, Ukrainian Americans who moved to United States, and obviously together with the soldiers who need help in Ukraine, because as we find out, very few people knew about rehab that we have, and they didn't even know where we exist and didn't know who to go. And even people right now, soldiers when getting amputation, a lot of them don't know where to get prosthetic legs. How to apply for it. So it's kind of a process coming along, and more people finding out about our work of other nonprofits. There's other nonprofits who do more humanitarian aid or helping the army. So first of all, we need to win the war. That's number one priority, and stop losing people, stop getting injured people. We suffer heavy losses practically every day. Yeah.
And as a young age that you are, do you feel like this is your life's work now?
I'm not that young.
All right. On Zoom, you look very young.
Well, I've been doing it for 8 years now. Oh, nine actually. 9 years since the Maidan. Well, every year prior, it was like one more year and that will stop. One more year and that will stop, and it's never stopped, and it's got worse. And we got even more work. So I don't know. I think we will find out consequences of this war for many years. And even though Misha will receive his prosthetic legs, right? He will still need to come back in a year, 2-3 years. It's the injury for life. Same for paralyzed soldiers. They are in a wheelchair for life, and they always need access to this rehabilitation that we are offering in Ukraine. What we offering, it's not the best, but we have it and it works, and it helps people. So, for example, if the soldier comes on a wheelchair with a leg injury, right, in 1 month he can walk. In 2 months he can run. So it works. So I think it's gonna take several years, and I hope we volunteers will take care of ourselves and not gonna
right. And how often are you traveling back and forth to Ukraine?
Well, with these rehabilitation centers, when the war started throughout the country, in February 24, I went 5 times, just because we had so many things we were doing as a nonprofit. We were purchasing ambulances. We got like over 50 ambulances, cars. We got even fire truck for air base in the west of Ukraine. So we did like bullet vest proof jackets, helmets, drones, generators, and everything. It's kind of a logistical thing we kind of shifted to, because we had to raise money, purchase it, deliver it, distribute it, right, among army units and civilians. So it was really difficult to to raise the money. We still need to go. We had to be in Ukraine. I was one of the first probably people who work in city of Irpin. I remember working on the glass, everything, like no windows in the city whatsoever. When Ukrainian army kick out Russians out of Kiev. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to see those burned buildings and just see my city where I was grew up.
And what, as you sit here now, what is the biggest need that you have? Is it pure money? Now, is it money? Is it plastic? What do you need?
We're looking for doctors. We're looking for doctors who can overtake some complicated cases. And we as a company, not the company, nonprofit, that can do all the logistics like transportation, getting out of Ukraine, because every male has to have a certain documentation to leave the country, even though they're injured, even though they have no legs. Really? We have to get them out of Ukraine. And then get US visas, get them on a plane and travel all the way to United States, whether it's in a business class with a doctor, or it's like they can actually get themselves in a plane, but not a problem. So it's a very tough process, and we do looking for doctors and medical facilities in the United States who can either accept on pro bono basis, which is for no cost, and help out us, help out Ukraine in this way, or accept for the minimum cost, where we can go and raise some fundings and cover those surgeries. So we have a lot of problem with infection and complicated surgeries, shattered faces, eyes, legs, arms burned. So that's name it, everything really. And obviously, we're raising money for prosthetics mostly, because it's a costly process. As I said, one leg is 25,000, which is bionic, same mild electric, or both legs 50,000 for a soldier who lost both legs, and a bionic arm like 35,000. And when soldiers see in Ukraine that revived soldiers helping those guys, they're reaching out, they want to help too, and it's it's so tough to say like somebody like you have to wait, like you're not priority, there's someone else right now in front of you. It's really tough. We're working right now on a case with no arms, and no leg, one leg, and he's blind, so it's like insane. So we had to figure out what prosthetic specialist, and he wants to go back to the war. This is like ridiculous. So he's so we're working with prosthetics specialists to figure out what will be the most appropriate for him to receive, either bionic or power body. What we're gonna do with his vision, Yeah.
And are there any of the countries like Germany and France or Spain or Italy? Are there any world-class facilities there that you could be using, or is it just the States? I mean, I don't want to sound like
the Ukraine does work, I think, with the Germany. It's mostly like a NATO hospital, like NATO hospitals, I would say. And they do accept wounded soldiers. They work directly with the Ministry of Health in Ukraine, and there's still line, how many people like Germany can accept. Right. While we have so many every day, and some hospitals just receiving and try to transfer it further out, just to give like first aid help, and just transferring somewhere else. And then those hospitals in the west of Ukraine, they also try to transfer somewhere else because there's no space. Civilian hospital accepting a lot of our military, but civilian hospitals were never ready for those kind of injuries, and they don't even have a proper medical supplies for those injuries. Us, Revived Soldiers Ukraine, we supplied we bought 21 ultrasound machines, portable machines for urgent care rooms, and we distribute them all over like the hospitals we could reach out at that moment in March and April. We bought X-rays machines, and those doctors were just so excited to have anything because they never had anything even close. And it just make their life easier. Obviously they can work easily, but it's still like it's just sad. Civilians hospitals are not ready, and we had no space at the army hospitals, so it's tough. And there's a lot of mistakes made by doctors that cost amputations in lives.
Just for not having the right equipment, right?
Exactly, yes. Or like even medics on the battlefields who evacuate soldiers, not putting a tourniquet correctly. By the time soldier gets to the hospitals, the leg is black, so they have to amputate it.
And how long does that take? I mean, just a practical issue. Is that take an hour, a half hour?
Yeah. So like when I was talking to Misha, from the time he was injured to the time he got to the hospital, it was 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. So in 4 hours, of course, if they put like tourniquet and didn't put it correctly, it's gone. The leg is gone. The other soldier I have here, he also the artery was slaughtered with the shrapnel, and 4 hours before he got to the hospital, the leg was black.
So if they get there in 2 hours, there's a chance to save it?
You know what? I'm not a doctor. Sorry, I'm a volunteer. I'm just that middle person that in between to do visas.
What you are is an angel, is what you are.
No, not really, because
I'm sure all those I'm sure all those soldiers look at you as an angel. I'm sure of that.
Well, we're a team, we're a team. It takes us a team to do it. It's a doctor or prosthetic specialist, it's us, people who in the middle helping, and there's obviously a soldier. It's a team work.
Yeah, no, it's very commendable. What else can you share with us that we should know?
Well, Ukraine will win.
Well, I have to say, you have 330 million Americans who believe that and certainly want that. I mean, I have to, with all these presentations that we've had from Carol and her colleagues, the strength, the stamina, the dignity of the Ukrainian people is just something that is so incredibly inspiring. It really is. We've been humbled by the courage that all of you have, the soldiers and the population, the general population. Is really amazing.
So we could like, for example, from nonprofit standpoint, we could manage to raise $7 million and spend into aid to hospitals, medical facilities, and just really a little amount of money went to actually help soldiers last year. And right now we're moving slowly back to the soldiers and working with those guys, and have the other nonprofits work with the armies and medics in Ukraine. So what else you need to know? My brother's also was fighting in a war zone. He was injured soldier. I brought him here to US to Florida hospital, and he's back. He's a sapper. He works with explosions, and he was demining my city of Irpin. And now he's on the Belarusian border mining that area. Yeah. So I don't know, like it's it's not easy fight, but it's a fight we had no choice but to take. And I'm very thankful to all our servicemen who didn't run, but went and defend our land. And that's we Ukrainians. I mean, we if Russians would take over Ukraine, like there will be no Ukraine. So no Ukrainians that live in there. Yeah.
Just a question: is it more productive to be an independent type of an entry than it is to put you all together?
All together with
other organizations like you.
Yeah. Well, we do our thing. It's very few people that works every day to coordinate all that stuff, and it's very productive because we make choices quick, and we acting very quickly. Before, I was working with another nonprofit before we opened Revive Soldiers Ukraine, and it just was so hard. I wanted to do more, and I couldn't because I was really dependent on other nonprofits to write a letter of intent and all that stuff. So it's much more productive when I do it on my own and with my team. It's quick, and if we need to raise money, we do raise money very quickly. We just need to like get a goal, establish goal for us, and we go and do it.
Yeah, being nimble has its advantages for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
would you like to talk to Misha?
Yes. Yeah, we want him. Get that boy in here.
Still here?
He's been in the green room, right?
Yeah, so he's still with us. So here's
Are you able to translate for him?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's better. All right.
There you go.
So you guys can see actually.
Hello.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much for coming on and being with us. You're representing your country in the most noble way, so it is an honor to have you with us. So thank you.
Їм дуже приємно, що ти з нами і що ти захищав свою країну.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you, because I've read it now a couple of times. How much do you weigh?
Скільки твоя вага? Зараз.
71.
71 kilograms.
Okay. No, I thought he was going to answer with his joke, with or without.
Просто вже поважується, то й знаю.
Yeah, he's already know his weight.
Okay. So
71 is pretty good.
what's that?
Pretty good weight.
Yeah. I mean, like a rock. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That to us, that right there to us is what we think of the Ukrainian soldiers, the Ukrainian population. Yeah, nothing gets in the way, and you will win, and all of that. What message do you have to all of us?
Що ти хочеш сказати всім цим людям, журналістам, відштовхуйся від того, що ти військовий і що ти поранений військовий?
Щоб більше допомога йшла так само Україні, тому що вона зараз знаходиться в стані війни, і так само, щоб більше йшла допомога пораненим українським військовим, тому що поранених дуже багато, які потребують допомоги. і Україна просто зараз не в змозі надати всім допомогу, а тим більше,
перекладу.
що?
So what he was saying that he really appreciates the help that U.S. and other countries are providing to Ukraine, but we're hoping to, in order to win the war, we still need to fight with something. We can't fight with the bare hands. He really appreciates the help that U.S. providing, and he is asking to continue on helping wounded soldiers just because we have so many, and Ukraine is unable to take care of everybody properly.
One thing certainly for us, the Americans and the American politics, as you know, we don't agree on much, but I think the Republicans.
Погоджуюся з американськими політиками.
Right. But the Americans, the Republicans and Democrats, I believe we are completely 100% behind the supporting of Ukraine.
Але американські люди 100% підтримують Україну і будуть підтримувати.
There's you know, the support. I don't believe the support will never end. It's just we hope it will be enough for long enough period of time. That's.
Він каже, що він надіється, що їх вистачить разом з нами виграти війну.
Yeah, this is yeah, that's the most important thing for us. So as he starts to feel better physically, how is he doing mentally?
Вони бачать, що ти вже фізично більш-менш окей. Як в тебе справи, психологічно?
У мене не було ніяких проблем.
He never had any problems.
Yeah, great. And where is his lady?
Де жінка?
Відпочивав.
So we're gonna the lady is resting, but we will get her
Okay.
interview over. So there's any translator? Do I need to be here?
Do you have a translator?
Yes.
Have to go.
Anya, if you have to leave, we
No,
have.
I don't have to leave. I just want Irina be here, not this Irina right here.
Yeah.
The other Irina here.
Yes. Because they're
You can all fit if you want. You can move
Yeah.
this.
Я приберу свої лижі.
Hi. No. From everything I've read, you guys have the most beautiful love affair that is inspiring to all of us. So we wanted to see you and to we just admire both of you and your courage.
And they might have to translate.
Oh, I have to. Okay,
Sorry.
okay, I'm here. I'm still here. I didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Вони дуже захоплені вашою історією кохання, і вони дуже вас за це поважають.
And what is next when you go back to Ukraine for both of you?
What did you say? I'm sorry?
What is next for both of you when you go back to Ukraine?
Що станеться, що для вас наступний крок, коли ви повернетесь в Україну?
Це таке питання, я можу на нього дуже дуже багато
It's very philosophical question.
Тут залежить від того, які будуть мої наступні кроки в житті. Першим ділом мені потрібно буде вернутися кудись на реабілітацію, щоб навчитися вже нормально більш-менш ходити, повністю ходити, звільнятися зі служби, далі думати, чим займатися в подальшому житті.
So it will all depend how fast he can adapt to his prosthetic legs, first of all, and rehabilitate. He needs to learn how to walk and kind of live without somebody helping him with a wheelchair all the time. And so he will think it depends if he will do it faster. He will have to figure out if he want to leave the army, because he's still he's still in the army. Say he didn't get he's not a veteran yet. He
Right.
didn't leave the unit, and so he will have to figure out whether he will leave the unit, and if yes, then what next step? If he gonna come back to the just civilian life, or he will leave Ukraine.
Right. And as he looks at the war effort, does he feel that the leadership of the military is making all the right decisions in supporting the troops?
Що ти думаєш, от ти як військовий, чи лідери України роблять правильні кроки з війною?
Ну, я як військовий, я не можу судити їхні вчинки, тому що в них зовсім більше інформації, вони знають більше, як ці ситуації судити, вони не це вчилися. У мене свій спектр задач, у мене спектр був штурмів міст, ну, в мене свої задачі, я не можу судити, тому що в них є об'єктивна повністю вся інформація, всі загрози, які є на світі, ну, а я служу суто своєю справою.
Спочатку почав. So he's saying he can judge, he can really judge the Ukrainian leaders because they obviously have a bit more information that he has. He's just the soldier who would storm get in and provide surveillance and storm the cities into, get rid of Russians of the cities. So his job was very, very kind of narrow, and he didn't know about the whole aspect of things that would happen within politics and how the war goes. So it's really, really hard for him to judge whether it was right or good or bad. He will add something.
На мою думку, так як нам всі провокували, що ми там протягнемо там 3 дні, тиждень, типу, ну, ми вже рік воюємо і вже ми забираємо назад свою територію. Я думаю, що роблять досить добре і впевнено, тут з боку сили нормально все виконують обов'язки свої.
Yeah, well, so we, because it was predicted by Russia that Ukraine will lose in 3 days, 1 week.
Yeah.
And we're still fighting like it's 1 year went by. On Friday, actually, tomorrow will be exactly a year. So he thinks that, our leaders are doing right decisions, both economical and military. So we're getting our land back slowly but surely. And, we're really showing the second army in the world that they kind of, they're losing their, they lost twice as much soldiers, and they lost a lot of their heavy ammunition and tanks.
Yeah, that must be a sense of tremendous pride for Misha and
Просто за те, що ми так тримаємося і воюємо з такою країною, як Росія.
Ну, звичайно, на мою думку, краще загинути в боротьбі, ніж жити в неволі. Ну, типу, і так більшість українців думає, тому ми будемо стояти до кінця.
Yeah, that's what my words were. It's better to die on a battlefield than to live under Russian aggression.
So, before the war, did you all have Russian friends or Russian contacts before all this started?
Of course, yes, I did. У вас були контакти з Росією, з росіянами, може, були друзі з Росії і так далі?
Я був в Росії безпосередньо ще в 2012 році до війни, а так, друзів в мене немає, знайомих, є люди деякі, хто виїхали в Росію, а таких...
Well, he was in Russia in 2012. So, well, he has just people who he knew, not the friends really, but the people who knew who lived in Russia.
Right.
So there was nothing, we never had any conflicts with Russia. A lot of Ukrainians work there because there's more money you can make in Russia than versus Ukraine. But so it's never really was any conflict situation or language. Right now Russia is saying that Ukrainians pressuring Russian speaking population. It's never, that's not right at all. I'm Russian speaking Ukrainian actually.
Right.
Nobody pressing me in Ukraine.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's just totally normal relationship with Russia prior to the war. They attacked us.
Right. Okay. So as you think of your future, can you imagine a way to still help the military with some type of technology?
Ти думав, що на майбутньому ти все-таки ж міг бути з військовими і якось допомагати в сфері технологій? В сфері технологій він не може думати, що ти можеш бути програмне якесь забезпечення робити. Так, в армії там може якісь...
Because we saw a young person who was injured and was actually in his hospital bed playing with a drone. So that
Вони бачили одного молодого хлопця, який отримав поранення, таке нелегке, і він зі свого ліжка в госпіталі оперував там щось дронами.
Дронами. Ну, я розумію, це є дронами з ліжка з операції. Ну, типа, він просто би не добиває туди, щоб це... Ну, типа, моя основна робота, чим би я міг зайнятися, тобто це в армії, це я би був хіба інструктором, і це лише в класі, тобто, ну, на полігоні я би міг працювати на полігоні, але в класі, тобто, щоб до мене приходили, і я на дошці, типу, не розказував по штурму, по цьому. А от, ну, типу, розказувати це одне, більшості потрібна практика, тобто ти пару занять теорії прийшов, все решта практика, за рахунок того, по практиці я толком нічого би не зміг показати і розказати, за рахунок того, що мені протези, за рахунок високого протезування, я ж не змог ні нагнутися, ні лягти, ні встати, тобто ненормально показати скид зброї, як заходити з цього угла чи з цього, ну.
So what he's saying, like, so his specialty in the army, this like storming the, and I would say like cleaning the cities. So it requires physical work. It requires to fall on the floor or get on his knees, work with the guns. So it will be very hard for him even to be an instructor. It will be very hard because he can do he can show on a practice how to do all that moves, operates and stuff. Only in the classroom maybe, but it still requires like physical practice.
right.
So most likely like he's not a drone operator, he's not a engineer supper to who works with explosions, so it's not, he's actually his job was physical work.
Right, I understand. And how did he meet Carol, and how did they come to
Maybe Carol will tell about it.
no how did they meet Carol, and how did they get so comfortable around her photographing them?
Як ви познайомилися з Carol, і як ви адаптувалися до того, що постійно вас?
Познайомились ми з Carol у Львові в протезному, без обмежень.
Oh, you were in Lviv prosthetic center. So they meet each other in Lviv, a city of Lviv. It's west of Ukraine, where Mikhailo's brigade is based, 80th Airborne Unit. And so he apparently Carol went there to take pictures of soldiers with amputations. So they actually met where Mikhailo was receiving his legs, prosthetic center.
And can they remember the moment that they thought, this lady is a special lady and we embrace her into our world? Because her images are very intimate of them. What was the moment where they let her in?
I did ask Mikhailo, actually, did she really like take a picture above the bed when you guys in the bed? She said yes. Ну, типа, ці фотографії, яка вона робила, це дуже інтимні фотографії. Ну, на кроваті стоять, тітка фоткає вас. Як так вийшло, що ви її так допустили до себе, щоб вона там була практично частина вашого
Ну,
життя?
вона вдома з нами знаходила. Ну, як вона з нами в Україні була 3 тижні. Ну, і
Well, they kind of get used to her because she was in Ukraine for 3 weeks together with them. Actually, he's here. She's here with them also about 2 weeks now, right? She went to Turkey for a week and then like 2 weeks straight. She actually lives with them here.
Yeah.
Вона запитала перед тим, як прийти зранку. Можна там прийду, коли ви будете спати? Я дуже хочу зловити ці моменти.
She was asking if she can come when they're sleeping. She like really want to catch the moments, and we said okay, right? We said okay, yeah. They were okay with her to come and in the morning, but you know, she didn't come to their home. Вона ж
да, була в мене вдома.
Ну, вдома ми просто приїжджали, а це було в лікарні.
that was in the hospital, so she would come in. That was just a hospital situation, so she wouldn't come to their home.
Their love story, so that it was mostly, it was about their love story to me. It was a way to show the issue of, you know, so many amputees in Ukraine, but in a way that is it was so beautiful to me to see their love and the support and the unconditional caring that still existed even after the injury, which could have torn a couple apart. So to me, it was a love story.
A love story. There you go. You heard that. Yeah, so she would come in the hospital and
Right.
that's okay with her to take a picture.
Because it's, you know, for us, it's very rare on both sides for the subject and the photographer to come together that way. So it's a credit to the three of them that all of that sort of transpired in the most natural way. For us, you know, as viewers, it is it's really spectacular, that kind of relationship. So we tip our hat to the three of you for doing that.
Це зайняло 3 людини для того, щоб все це сталося, і щоб вона змогла показати таку історію любові та для всіх них, тому що вони всі відчули це.
Яких 3 людини?
Ну, ти раз, два, три. Я.
Tell them I became their adoptive babushka. That's
Oh yeah, she adopted.
There you go.
Babushka is she adopted babushka to Irina and
You have her now forever,
yeah.
which is very beautiful, of course. Very.
I'm glad Carol can deliver the story so well. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. She's amazing.
I just take the pictures.
She just came to our gala and she did the most amazing pictures from the gala. So that tell me everything, really.
Right. Beautiful. So, Irina, what now? Your future will change now, and what do you see it being? You know, in this new different role for you.
Іра, твоє життя змінилося зараз, тому що Михайлу треба адаптуватися до життя. Як ти себе бачиш в майбутньому?
Він адаптувався, можна сказати, з перших своїх днів. Він відразу розумів, що в нього немає ніг, він деяких речей не зможе там сам робити.
Ну, а для тебе?
Все нормально.
She's totally fine, wherever it takes. She's saying, Michaela adapted right away to the life that he's not gonna have legs anymore, but it's instead of his legs, he will have a prosthetic legs, and Irina is gonna support as long as it's needed.
That's a love story, right?
Це історія кохання. Yes, it is.
That is so beautiful. Is there anything that they would like to share with us?
Що ви чимось ще хочете поділитися, окрім фотографії, що вона вже зробила? Щось ще хочете розказати? Well, they still have video, I'm just kidding. Так.
Ну, чим саме підемо?
Ну, вони хочуть, чи ви ще хочете щось сказати? Там,
Ну, типу, хотілося сказати, ну, вони ж всі журналісти, правильно, ну, типу, щоб вони більше привертали уваги, щоб не забували про війну в Україні, яка триває, ну, повномасштабно вже більше року, що така вже йде 9 років, що дуже багато військових поранених в Україні, які так само потребують допомоги, щоб, ну, не тільки говорили про це, ну, і допомагали. Я розумію, що ми не можемо заставити нікого, щоб нам допомагали, але просто, типу, ну, по-людськи, від душі, ну, просто.
Yeah, it would be great. He's asking, are you all journalists? I said yes. So he is saying that it would be great to do more similar stories what they have and show the world about about Ukraine in the first place. And because of the war is going for so long, it's get out of the TVs and news, and it's been little forgotten. But we actually need help more than before because of the consequences we're dealing with the injured, and we're still fighting, we're still in the war. So yeah, it would be great if there will be more attention from you guys and your colleagues to
Well,
similar
yeah, no, I agree completely. And, our platform, this projections platform, we are committed for the long run. Anyone will tell you this is now maybe our 30th or 35th night of doing these presentations, and we are committed to doing it. I will tell you, most of the people who are on have been on all throughout the year. This is our 8th week of doing these presentations, so we're committed. Question is, how long do you stay in Orlando now?
Скільки ви вже в Orlando? They know I can respond.
Майже місяць.
3 weeks and like almost 4 weeks. Almost 4 weeks.
So they will stay. Beautiful.
Yeah, like almost a month. Yeah. As I said, it's a process, and these guys always every day they in the prosthetic center every single day.
And how far is it from where they're staying?
It's very close. It's like 15 minutes. It's super close, so it's not like
Right.
to drive because they have to go there every day. They go in the morning and coming back at night. They're having lunch over there with the and hanging out and waiting for their parts to be fixed and or remake. So.
Yeah, that's a long haul. Well, I cannot, really. Is Carol going back to Ukraine?
Carol, that's a question to you.
Well, I'd be there now if it wasn't for Misha and here.
Right.
I plan to go back for the anniversary, and I'm sure I'll go back at some point. It's
Yeah.
such a profoundly important and epic story, and like Irina said, it's the world attention span is short, and I think a lot of people are forgetting that this war is still going on, and the ripple effect of what's happening to everyone in Ukraine is just unimaginable, and we have to keep shining the light.
Yeah, as you know, Carol, we will. And Irina, you should know that if for any reason you would like to come back on, just you'll have my email to contact me through Carol or directly. You always have a platform here, because we'll be doing this more and more.
You talking to Babushka?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, me? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm still here. I'm still with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you want to come back, you have news, we're, like I said, unfortunately, we'll be doing
I
this.
have a lot of news. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do.
Unfortunately,
for example, one guy I have right in Chicago right now. He's getting treatment since 2014. He got injured in 2014.
Wow.
It's been 8.5 years, 67 surgeries. And the war started. He went back on a wheelchair. He went back. He could walk a little bit, but mostly on a wheelchair. He was starting volunteer, and he was in a wheelchair sitting in trenches with the soldiers. He would bring aid, like military aids, straight to the army units, and he was crawling with the backpack of stuff to the soldiers.
Wow.
So, but unfortunately, his injury got worse. So we had to return. He was in Chicago for 2 years. Then he returned for almost a year And now we brought him back straight to the hospital, University of Chicago.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
there's
Carol,
like all the stories are like pretty.
there's another story
Yeah,
after another story. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Carol, move to your right so I could have all four of you in the frame. Now come in, Arena.
Sorry,
I
that was
want to say too that, I mean, I think so many people want to help and they don't know how, especially, Americans. And this is such a great organization. I've been here, I've been, seeing firsthand all the good that they're doing and, they're giving people back their lives basically. So just maybe, put that website out there for people who are looking for somewhere, a smaller organization that really needs the funding.
Right. Yeah, we'll put your link in there in the chat room, again, and we'll mention it tomorrow. Yeah. No, and tomorrow night we're doing another presentation with your friend Paula, Carol.
Oh, Paula's in Ukraine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paula photographed them too.
Oh, is that right?
Paula, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What the
I mean, Misha's a rock star.
Yeah.
He is an absolute
Thank you,
rock
guys.
star.
Thank you.
Paula's a force of nature.
No, we thank you so very much for doing this, for being out there, and we will help any way we can to promote everything that you're doing. You guys, are all angels for us, and we thank you very much for doing this. It's quite humbling. So thank you, and be safe, get healthy. If you get any stronger, I mean, I don't know what'll happen. He's like the Hulk.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
guys for your
you.
support.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Good night, everyone.